Greetings. This is Scholar Sonar seeing what's current. In housekeeping, but I'm on a kind of a serious tip today. Very driven. This is going to be driven by complete rationality, complete understanding of what is true and what's not, and when will we stop using anti-concepts, especially in crime? And what I'm alluding to, what I'm referring to, is the 3 people that were shot and killed today in Jacksonville, Florida, at a Dollar General. And everyone, including the police chief, is calling it a hate crime. And there is no such thing as a hate crime. Hate is intense dislike for something or someone. Crime is a violation of individual rights by physical force or fraud. That's crime. There is no such thing as a hate crime. It's just as much the same thing as there's a love crime or a like crime or dislike crime. These are all anti-concepts, as Ayn Rand would say. And we have to really distinguish the underpinnings of what these words want to be said, what people want them to mean. And on this eve of the 60th anniversary of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech in Washington, D.C., calling for, among other things, jobs and racial equality, or, they call it civil rights, but I like to call it individual rights. It just is a shame that this has to occur right around that time period. Because as many flaws as Dr. King had, one thing he did have was a clear-eyed view of saying that you should be judged by your character, not by the color of your skin. That's one thing that he definitely, advocated for, and was ultimately silenced by a gunman himself, by a gunman, who perpetrated against him. And so that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about how we use language and words such as hate crime, and they don't, mean anything. They mean nothing. If you have someone that you love very much and you shoot him in the face, is that a love crime? What is that? I don't understand what the difference is. What is the difference here? Why is there such idea, I'd say, not even a full concept, it's an anti-concept, as hate crime? What started this? I'm going to show you an idea I had in this short amount of time. So it really goes back a few decades, probably to the 70s and 80s, especially, where hate crime really became a concept or anti-concept du jour and type of the day. There's a lot of things you can say, like with hate speech. You can have hate speech all you want. That's just speech that has hate in it. But you can't have a hate crime. There's no crime that deals with hate in that regard. Disliking someone to the point of killing them, murdering them. In this case, the gunman turned it on himself. He had written manifestoes regarding killing, black people. He did it all because of black people. All this was the main target were African Americans. And I know from the Star Report, Florida Boy Jay is definitely is most likely going to have something to weigh in on this, because that's his home. He's from Jacksonville, Florida. So he might even know, some members of that community, some of that area. I think it's the Edwin Waters or Edward Waters. Yeah, Edward Waters University. It's a HBCU. Um, well, it's touted as a Christian historically black university, and it was founded in 1866 by members of the African Methodist Episcopal Church. Okay, so that was in the vicinity, that area, EWU, and I think he'll have more information and better idea and better sense than I do. But I want to talk about concepts and anti-concepts, and hate is just part of freedoms of speech. It's part of speech. That's what I said. You can have hate speech all you want, but there's no such thing as a hate crime. When you talk about somebody that you don't like, that you hate, that you cannot stand, just as long as you don't slander, libel, or commit terrorist threats against them, you can be hateful as you want. You can be vicious and not in the sense of contemptible, but in the sense of just having hatred, just having a strong dislike or uh, a growing and idea of aversion to this person or thing. Because I hate evil. That's my speech on evil. I hate things that are wicked and vicious. I don't like things that are unjust. I don't like that. I hate it. Not a crime. We start to venture into, 1984 anthem, and Ayn Rand's anthem, and um, Orwell's 1984, when we suggest that these ideas are supposed to be manifest in actions, like killing people, like shooting people. That's not factual. That's not right. That's against all principles. That's against all right of all people. That tears down the walls of what is going on in this world. That tears down the walls of what is proper and what is just. So when you have these mass shootings, such as uh, South Carolina and Buffalo and Jacksonville, Florida, that are targeted at black people, especially, it's not a hate crime. The person may have harbored hatred for people, but it's not a crime to hate. You can hate as long as you don't go against somebody physically by using physical force. That's the power of the pen. That's the power of expression. That's the power of writing and debating and negotiating. All that's on the table. Once you pick up the gun, once you have the fist, once you have the whip, once you have the baton, that's when it breaks down. And it's not about hate. It's about viciousness and evil. That's a redundancy. If you call it an evil crime, crime is evil. All crimes are evil. They have a degrees of evil. Like stealing a candy bar is different from murdering 3 people. Stealing a candy bar is a crime. That's evil. That's bad. It's vicious. But it's not as vicious and harsh as taking the lives of 3 human beings. That's the difference. That's what I want to get to this, the root of this. I read in a few journals about the term or the idea of anti-concept. It's basically what you want to smuggle in an idea that's true, and then it's almost like a package deal. Package deal is like that. It's an anti-concept and a package deal at the same time. Package deal is when you have a good idea, then you try to smuggle in another idea underneath it, and you try to make them as one. You want to make them as one complete idea together, and that just can't fit. That doesn't work. You can't package deal things. That's not proper. So when you have the idea of making people have the sensibility of making other people, victims to your vitriol, your hatred, as long as it's speech, and again, you're not threatening or, libel or slander, it's all on the table. That's all, that's fine. You can use as much vicious language as you possibly can. I got that from Mr. Troy Star Terrain, the original objective hater. He fashioned his own philosophy based around hatred. But the thing was, he couldn't just say, okay, I call my philosophy hate. He couldn't do that. He had to use rationality and tie together objectivism with hate and use it in his own original way virtually without anyone's help. He virtually did it with a few exceptions, some young ladies and an older lady and, just a man that he knew. He concocted this whole ideal around what he experienced and what he knows through years of study and understanding, through book work, through talking on the street, through everything. And he was able to devise that. And that's what objective hate is. And that's a real concept. That's a philosophy. But crimes, hate crimes, there are none. Never has there been a hate crime. There can be no hate crime. There can be no crime of hatred. As I said, like there's no crime of love. I love you. Let me slash your throat. I don't. It doesn't make any sense. Hate. Hate. Hate is a vicious and harsh way of looking at something or someone. You dislike it vehemently. I mean, completely, totally. It's to your core that you do not like this person or thing. You detest it completely, without regard. And that's the true token of what has not been explored or challenged in the media. Everybody just says it. Oh, it must be another hate crime. We're talking about a hate crime now. Oh, this is a hate crime. This is a hate. No one ever says, wait a minute. There is no such thing as a hate crime. Or very few people say it. Very few people will say that this is not a hate crime. It's not a hate crime. Just because it's racially motivated, just because they have a higher content of melanin in their skin, just because he had less melanin in his skin, doesn't mean that it's a hate crime. It just means that it's a crime that could have been prosecuted had he been apprehended. But that's what happens. He probably wouldn't have been apprehended, as a matter of fact. He probably wouldn't have been shot. He'd have probably been taken in. Well, he would have been apprehended. He probably would have been, taken in the police custody, unharmed, and able to be on his own feet, just like Dylan Roof, and from the South Carolina the shootings at the church, killed 9 black people. So that's what I want to talk about right here, right now. When will we stop using anti-concepts, especially in crime, especially hate crime? I wanted to put it in the title, but I don't think hate, really gets a lot of views. just being honest here. As always, I don't go outside of honesty. But that's what I'm talking about. That's the level of thinking I'm on. That's the level of understanding I'm trying to convey. Now, I'm showing that there's a link between, all these different there's been over 400 mass shootings in America since the beginning of 2023. And at the benchmark of July 4th, It was the most shootings up to that point ever in the history of America. When July 4th happened, on that benchmark. So we're getting devious, but we can't blame. It's also with the tools. You got to blame the operator, not the tool. You got to blame the person behind the gun, not the gun. And all the laws and different ideals that go into hate speech is the same thing that are lobbied with people that are against gun ownership and gun rights. They want to repeal the Second Amendment. They want to do all this. They want to, adjust the First Amendment to say if you say things or you do things or express yourself in such a way that isn't harming anyone, isn't going against their person in any fashion, then you can be tried and put in jail. And that's ridiculous. That's Anthem. That's 1984. That's without regard to individual rights. You're not a human being. You're not even a person. You're not even a person. You're not even a full-fledged being. You're just a scrap of human of flesh to be buffeted around in the winds. So I say to you, when will we stop using anti-concepts, especially in crime? In crime, we have a very few amount of people. Very few people commit serious crimes. Very few. Even though, like I said in past posts, that America leads the world and the most people imprisoned with over 2 million. It's still less than, I think, 1% of the population, or a little over. So not a lot of people are out committing crimes and going to jail. Some of them are committing crimes and getting away with it, but they know that they are running on fumes in their mind. They're running on nothing. They're running on absolute vapors. Because you can't have a mind that says that I'm a criminal and I'm an evil human being and live very long. You just can't. You either commit suicide or you wind up in, turning yourself in or doing something, drastic, because you can't live with the incongruity of being someone who is attached to crime but cannot deal with the fact of reality that you are a criminal. And that's what happened with this case. This person, this gunman, shot himself because he knew he wouldn't be able to deal with the facts of reality. He knew he wouldn't be able to deal with the reality of who he was and what he did. So that's part of what it is when it comes to crime. Hate can be a beautiful thing. Hate is wonderful. Hate, it lets you know, like, I hated Osama bin Laden. I hated the hijackers that went to the towers. I hated the hijacker that went to the field in Pennsylvania. I hated them. I hate them. I hate Saddam Hussein. I hate Donald Trump. I hate Barack Obama. I hate these people. I don't like them particularly. I could probably hate a lot more. I can hate most politicians. They're mostly decrepit, old, mean, bitter, dysfunctional, ugly in terms of their soul, not just their physical appearance. Human beings, if you can call them that. That might be a title too, rich for them. That might be, giving them too much credit. But that's what I hate. I hate a lot of people. I hate a lot of things. Like I said, I hate injustice. I hate people spouting misinformation and evil thoughts and vicious rhetoric that could harm people potentially. You can spout vicious rhetoric all you want, just as long as you don't, it's not in the context of harming anyone. taking their life or something like that. Allegedly, taking someone's life, or you know, uh, showing that you're going to blow up the school or something like that, blow up a building, put a bomb in someone's car. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I hate. I detest all of that. I can't stand it. It makes me sick to my stomach, quite literally sometimes. But that's okay. Hate is fine as long as you keep it in context. As long as you don't mix it with something like crime. And that's when you fall to pieces, because you cannot hitch those two together. They're unhitchable. I don't think that's a word, but I just made it up. You can't combine them. They have their own set of principles that and meanings. Crime and hate have different meanings completely, and when you try to tie them together, it's like tying like the two positive ends of a magnet. They repel, opposites attract. We learned that from in elementary school. So when you have this killer, this murderer, this vicious, ugly bastard that killed these young people. The oldest was 52, the youngest was 19, and in the middle was 29. It was almost like an age scale, young adult, or really young adult, and almost senior citizen. So you have to have regard and respect for the word, the language. It's not just semantics. It's not anything to do with semantics. It's to deal with ideas as they should be in your mind. That's what it should deal with. That's what it should be about. That's the idea of being in line with what it means to be a thinker, what it means to be an active person that takes action, that thinks and takes action. Those two things put together. Just like the founding fathers, they thought and then they put it into action. They wrote it out and they said, look, this is what we have. We have the Declaration of Independence and we're going to fight for it. England's not going to pay too much attention to us, so we're going to win easily. They're going to have too much issues with Spain and France, so we don't have to worry about it too much. But we're going to still fight. We're going to still fight. So that was like the precursor to what we have today. We have racial strife, okay, but we have to also have the idea of the individual. We have to have the idea of the clean spirit of an individual person. Individualism, that's what I'm talking about. The one and only function of a human being is to be an individual. Not to be a second-hander, not to be somebody that borrows someone's soul, borrows their mind, borrows their spirit. And I don't mean that in a mystical sense. I don't mean spirit and soul in a mystical sense. I mean in a sense of your mind and your makeup and your character and your whole being. The thing that makes you you. That's your soul and your spirit. Not something mystical, aligned to Christianity, Judaism, Islam, anything, or Hinduism or Buddhism or anything like that. I'm talking about your personal self, who you are. And that's what has to happen with these cases. When we have these major shootings across the country and across the globe, I would imagine they hardly talk about it on TV with us. And so I don't try to read too much TV. I try to listen to the radio as much and read newspapers, online to get what's going on in the world. And it's not much in that regard. In the shootings, not a whole lot. Like you'll get a big story. I think it was like 12 years ago, in Scandinavia, guy who shot and killed like 50 people or something like that. Like that's like an outlier. That is a complete outlier. That's completely, doesn't happen within another decade or more. Probably won't happen. And it's elsewhere. It's like that too, because they don't ever talk about that. Even when I'm listening to the radio, I'm reading the newspapers. They're not talking about a mass shooting in Macedonia or a mass shooting in what Barcelona or Nice or Buenos Aires. I mean, there's crime, of course. There's crime. I'm not trying to say, oh, the world's a happy place and America's evil and terrible. No, I'm saying that in terms of shooting people in mass, that's an American trait. That is a fully American ideal. Shooting people in mass quantities and great numbers, totaling at least 4 people shot or injured. And this, I think this just missed or just qualified being a mass shooting. I have to go on my numbers. But I'm gonna say regardless. I want to say irregardless, but I'm trying to be serious here. I'm trying, be more, have gravitas, as they say. It takes a lot out of the idea of what it is to be an American when you think about it so much that we have all these shootings. It's just like I always think about it as like duck duck goose. When they talk about dictators, they always revert to the game whack-a-mole. You bang, you hit one whack-a-mole, another one pops up. Bang, you hit another mole, another one pops up. Well, I always think about smash shootings as duck duck goose. It's like they hit your head, hit this head. You don't know who's going to be. And then goose. And then they have to get up and run and see if they can catch them and sit down. That's what it's like with these shootings. You don't know when it's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen. Jump up and somebody's going to get you and you have to run around and sit down. These shootings are ridiculous. They're abhorrent. They're vicious. They're a mar on this country's history. This country is drenched in blood. It's the reason why the flag is red, white, and blue. The red is for the blood, as we should know. As we should know. The red is for the blood. Blood of the veterans that have perished in all the wars. Over 1 million veterans have perished in the wars that have started since the revolution. 1 million. So, you can go by the police officers, you can go by FBI agents, you can go by CIA agents, you can go by just people in the streets, innocent people, or, bystanders. They had nothing to do with, whatever troubles are going on in the brains of these, madmen, these crazy people. But I don't want to say the word crazy people because I'm crazy. I don't feel like picking up a gun. I can't even go to the store and buy one because of my bipolar history. So this is all I have. All I have is this mic and this video screen. And so I don't even have any viewers right now. But that's okay because the rebroadcast is going to be... Now I have a view. Okay. I say I don't have any viewers and now I get 1 viewer. Okay. Whoever you are, salute you. Okay, you go away. Okay, great. That was funny. That was real funny. I said I don't have any viewers, and 1 viewer popped up, and then it went away. All right, that's fine. But seriously, I really have an outlet with YouTube and with vocal.media. They give me, my freedom of speech, my space. I use their channel and their writing platform, and I can say whatever the hell I want. I don't get tossed back too many times. I don't have any strikes. I haven't said anything against anyone's name. I only said something against Trump. I said you can either say Trump or you can't say Trump. I don't know what the deal is yet, but I said I hated Obama, and I hate Obama. I hate what he did. He was a horrible president. Name one thing that he did. Oh, well, he did healthcare. He did Obamacare. Don't call it Obamacare. It's the Affordable Care Act. And he's helping older people. No, he's worsening their lives. He didn't get rid of the FDA. If he gotten rid of the FDA, then I'd be like, okay, that's probably that's good on him. He was an okay president instead of a horrible president. But the Affordable Care Act, if I could just do an aside, what was horrific. Any kind of business of government in business is vicious and evil and wrong and should be taken out completely. Should be expunged, should be exterminated, should be terminated, should be rolled off into this in the off the wagon, just completely kicked off. Affordable Care Act just tramples on individual rights. It tramples on administrations in hospitals, doctors, nurses, all the medical staff. They have to abide by rules by law because of the Affordable Care Act that they didn't have to beforehand. And it was already eroding, but he made it even worse. He made it even worse. He put it into practice, knowing full well that government and business should not be in cahoots. Government should be there to protect businesses, but they're in the individuals within them and their rights. And Trump is no better. Trump, it wasn't like Trump, could repeal Affordable Care Act. It wasn't like Trump was trying to erect a wall, which would have been horrific. It's like he got just enough just to get in and do enough. Trump got the space force. He got different things like that. Got people out of jail, and that's why they hail him. But he was a horrific president too. Wasn't as bad as Obama in my estimation, but he was terrible as well. And that's Democrat and Republican, and I hate them both. Without maybe not to the same degrees, but I hate both Trump and Obama for their vicious ways that they carried out their actions while in office. They were terrible, but that's just an aside. Anti-concepts. The thought about thinking and speaking and against acting on and doing or showing that you're going to do. All his manifestos that he had written, this gunman, it wouldn't matter if he wanted to show. His name was Ryan Christopher Palmeter. That was the gunman's name. The victims were Angela Michelle Carr, 52, Arnault Joseph Laguerre Jr., known as AJ, 29, and Gerald Deshawn Gallion, 19. And of course, Ryan Palmeter carried out these vicious acts of violence and force, physical force, because it's so slippery. It's very close. Force, violence. What is force? What is violence? And you have to discover on your own what each one is and properly, show what they are. And I think if we have a better understanding of what it means to be and the idea of what it means to be, we could have a better understanding. We could have a better, a clear-eyed view of what we are. We have a better understanding of what we are supposed to be doing. So, with that in mind, I have to say that we have to go. We have to go to a different level. we have to go to rationality. We have to go to reason, purpose, self-esteem, reason, individualism, capitalism, reason, reason, reason. Reason is the primary. Then everything else flourishes. Reason is the seed. And you have the soil, which is philosophy. And then all the trees, all our sciences and arts spring up. And, different flora, spring up. That's what's so important, I think, for us to discuss these, trying and harsh ideals. They're very harsh. It's very vicious and tough and strong to take. Like you're taking a shot on 151. No chaser. But I just like to say that it is within the rights of anyone who has the American, spirit to want to tear down these walls. We have to make it so that these ideas break through. Now I'm on this platform again, 0 views right now. I'm going to see how many I get in my rebroadcast, but I have 0 viewers at this point. 1 like. Somebody's kind of watching, but not watching. Okay, somebody's watching again. Every time I bring up how many viewers I have, somebody comes in and says a like. Okay, I'm here. All right, they're not going in the chat room. Then somebody jumps in the chat room. Then I have to say respect and salute. Like it's like a dance. It's a dance. It's funny, but I think it's important that we have a semblance of order in our minds, to think, to have reason, to search for truth. Now, I don't care, if you're a Catholic, you're a Buddhist, you're a Presbyterian, you're a Hasidic Jew. We can argue all day about whatever God is and what God isn't, and there is no God. So there wouldn't be too much arguing from me. I'll just say there isn't and walk away. But if we are to take ideas seriously, we have to comprehend the fact that there's people that are trying to silence and trying to dump on people that are speaking words that are true, speaking words that are righteous. There's people that have been attacked, such as Salman Rushdie, lost his eye apparently and was paralyzed in his arm or something like that. It's vicious. So he hated him, right? So that's what is crime but hate anyway. I don't like this person. Okay, I really like this person, so I'm going to stab him in the throat. I really like this person. I love this person. I love her. So I'm going to shoot her in the back. I love him. I'm going to, tie him up and put gasoline all over him, set him on fire because I love him. What? And hate. You hate somebody, yeah, and so you hate them, but what crime are you going to commit against them that constitutes a hate crime, quote unquote? Anti-concept all the way. It goes against conception. It goes against thinking. I think I titled it better. People weren't, following the title so well. Now I'm getting a few more views. I'm getting event app. Oh, okay, Event Moon app is here. Salute. All right, so people are coming in now at 39 minutes, 41 seconds plus. Because I think I changed the title, made it better. I always think about some big, heavy, spacey, thoughtful kind of things. It's like, no, just say simple. I retitled it to Jacksonville, Florida shooting opinion. That's it. That's how you get your views. Just this is my opinion. This is my editorial page. This is my op-ed page right now. This is my opinion. My opinion, which is rooted in fact, is that hate crime should never be used ever again, especially by officials who protect us or in the role of protecting us from these killers, these gunmen, these robbers, these thieves, everyone who is committed to criminal activity and evil and viciousness. That's what we have to look forward to. That's what we have to discover. That's what we have to understand. That with as many people as there are, saying all these things about us, we have to represent for ourselves the idea that we're capable, we're rational enough, we're adult enough, because we're adults, right? This isn't for kids. This video, all right, so I got 0 viewers now. Back to 0. Maybe it'll come up to 1 since I said there's 0 viewers. I don't know. We'll see. But it's just funny. I changed the title and got a few more people come in. Got 2 likes. I'm feeling good. So I'm thinking about that rebroadcast. The rebroadcast is going to be something serious. I think it's going to be something serious. But that's what's so important about, our discussions nowadays. We talking back and forth about, oh, well, you're not qualified because of blah, blah, blah. You're not supposed to blah, blah, blah. And that's like the GOP debates and every debate they always do. And it's just a dog and pony show. I don't take them too seriously. I don't like to say, oh, he's a winner. He did a great job tonight. He was a great speaker. She did well. She was very staunch and on her points and hit her marks. That's cute, but they're going to end up saying that there's going to be one person that's going to be on there, and there's going to be another person that's going to be saying, look, you're going to be my running mate. That's how it comes down to every time. If the nomination goes, if they go for if they reach the stage of being nominated, then they pick their running mate. The person that they yelled at just a few weeks ago, a few months ago. But I digress again. I want to talk about these 3 people, these 3 black people, these 3 human beings, these 3 individuals, because that's what they were. I don't care if they're black. Doesn't matter. Skin color is nothing. You can't choose your skin color unless you're Michael Jackson. That was a joke. That was a bad joke. But and rock and power to him anyway. So, but you're born and you have a skin color, and you didn't choose that. No matter what you do with it, you can lighten your skin, you can darken your skin. That's fine. But when you first come out of the womb, you're a certain color. You're probably gonna, like, I was very, very fair skinned when I came out of my mother's womb, but I gained color. But who cares? What does color have to do with anything? What does the size of my nose or my lips or anything like that have to do with my character, who I am as a person? What difference does that make? What was the causation there? What's the correlation between the kind of person I purport to be and the skin color I have? And that's what gets me about all of racism, especially in America. I mean, we can talk about South Africa, we can talk about, apartheid and all that's ridiculousness in other areas and other time periods where people of color were marginalized and crucified, and to an extent, probably almost in a literal sense. But that's what is so devious and vicious, is that there's no reason behind it. That's another reason to not believe in God. That, I would say 90, maybe 100%, 99, 95, 99% of the people that were in the South all believed in God. 100, 99, 95, 99% probably all had something to do with God, weren't the most scientifically inclined, you know. They couldn't defend whites only, coloreds only. On what grounds can you defend it? Back of the bus, coloreds. Coloreds only eat at this table. Whites over here. Now, while I agree with that, I agree with the principle of that, of saying that this is white and this is black, and you have that. But I wonder this: what about green, the dollar sign? When you have all whites, like today, if Walmart just decided we're all white now, we're gonna be all white. If that was, instead of the another bogus act like the Affordable Care Act, was the Civil Rights Act. Civil Rights Act completely trampled over the rights of individuals. You should be able to say blacks only. You should be able to say whites only, reds only, yellows only, browns only, gays only, women only, men only. And then you see what kind of stupid, vicious, ugly, broke way of living that will lead to. Because you're not going to get good business at all. You might get your base. You'll get a few people coming in, but there wouldn't be as many to make it a multi-million or multi-billion-dollar company. You might get a few thousand, might get 100,000, but you're not going to get a huge corporation, a multi-billion-dollar, maybe a multi-trillion-dollar company. Just imagine if Apple said, "You know what? Tim Cook's out. No more gay people. You're out, Tim Cook. Sorry, we're not about gay people." Like, it's that ridiculous. That's how ridiculous this whole issue is. Racism in America. And, anti-gay and any kind of discrimination against somebody based on sexual orientation, gender, racial makeup, whatever you want to say. It amazes me and astounds me. It gets me to the point of saying, they couldn't say scientifically the reason why black people are inferior, or white people are inferior, or anybody is inferior or superior. Why? What qualifies a whole group of people? And by the way, that's a collective, by the way, but not individually. A whole group of people, whole collective, as totally unneeded or unnecessary or lower than, less than. That's the question. That's the real question. That's the goal of this whole idea. That's what it all comes down to. That's what it all relates to. That's the whole purpose of this. That's what we're fighting against. And what I'm fighting for, most likely, is rationality, reason, thinking, creating, building, making. All of that goes into it. And I learned that from Ayn Rand and Troy Star Terrain, and among others, Dr. Jerome Brook, Dr. Leonard Peikoff, just to name a few. And there are many more, but I just had to get those off. But hate crime, it's got to go. We've got to, like they had. I like the word nigger. I use the word nigger all the time. I say nigger, 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 nigger. And people are not going to like me for that. They're not going, cringe, it's so cringy. But I like it, and I'm not going to be the one to say, or if someone say, "Oh, well, what if a white man used nigger?" I say, "Yeah, you let him. Is it America or not? You can use nigger all day. Nigger, not nigga, because that's the hot sauce. That's the fried chicken with hot sauce on it. But you can baste it and bake it and fricassee it and boil it. It's still chicken, a goat or chicken. You know, you can have fried goat, you can have baked goat, you can have boiled goat, still goat. Put hot sauce on that goat, still a goat. That's from the late great Paul Mooney. He told the truth when he said that. He stated facts, facts, major facts. So I use the word nigger. Okay, so white man calls me nigger. Okay, doesn't bother me. I'm not a nigger, but I like to use the word nigger. And I apply it to people who are niggers, like Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a nigger. He is a nigger, like for real. He is. There's no question about that. So it just gets to a point where we have to recognize the fact that hate crime has got to go. Has got to go. There's no room for it. There's no placement for it. There's no sense of it being a thinker's word, a thinker's concept. Because it's not a concept, it's an anti-concept. It's against concepts. It's against rational thought. And it's so quick and easy for us to say, oh, it's a hate crime. White guy shooting black people? Oh, yeah. It's a hate crime. Instead of just saying it was a crime, a vicious, ugly, disgusting crime that should be, shown as such and remembered and taken in as such. That's the problem. We're very, McDonald's, Burger King, and and Taco Bell and Chick-fil-A and all the other ones. We're fast food. The food tastes good. Food is banging, but sometimes we have some some gastrointestinal issues afterwards. I'm not going to get into detail, but we're quick. We're fast and in and out, bam. And that's another chain, in and out. But we're so quick to say, hey, oh, it's a hate crime. It's a hate crime. Hate crime. Oh, what was that? What was that? What you say over there? Oh, that's a hate crime. Oh, that's a hate crime. That was a hate crime. Oh, he said that. That's a hate crime. Oh, she did that. That's a hate crime. I should say he, because mostly it's a he. Even though that young lady at the I think it was a Catholic school, or it was a private school. I know for sure. The woman, there was a female. I'm trying to look that up. Audrey Hale. Okay, so I'm still looking, making sure that was the right one. The Nashville Elementary School. I pardon me. I take that back. I think so. There was a private school that was a shooting too, though. I'm trying to remember it. Anyway, it's it's very important that we use the proper wording. It's not just semantics, like I said before. It's not just, oh, well, you're just using semantics. No, 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 no. This is about your brain. It's about your mind. It's about your thinking thing, the thing that thinks. That's what's most important here. Recognizing and acknowledging the reality of what it means to be a rational human being. I don't care what your racial makeup is, what your identity is. You can be a man, a woman, and you were a man yesterday, now you're a woman, and you're going to be a man the next day. I don't care. I really don't care. Especially I'm saying, because there's levels where I do care, but for the most part, if you got a brain and you use it well, I don't care. And we can trade and we can make this money. Let's go. Come on. I mean, we can get to that level. I don't care. If you're gay, you're lesbian, doesn't matter. Let's get this money. This is America. That's the whole point. Getting the scratch, the skrilla, the dollars, the ducats, the pesos, everything. All that. The dollar bill, y'all. But these three people, Miss Carr, AJ, Mr. Galleon, they had lives. They weren't expecting, at a Dollar General of all places. I mean, you can't go to church, you can't go to a movie theater, you can't go to school, you can't go anywhere. If I want to use the vernacular, you can't go nowhere. Ain't nowhere you can go. Somebody's gonna be there at some point in, like the Duck Duck Goose game. Where's it gonna pop up? Oh, it popped up on Jacksonville this time. Duck, duck, duck. Oh, it's gonna be another city in America. Oh my God! And we have to think about it. We have to convene. We have to, and then of course I'm not advocating it, but I have to respect people that pray. They bow their heads and they hold hands and they talk to the unknown and unknowable. They're really talking to themselves. They just don't want to admit it. And there's nothing wrong with talking to yourselves. I talk to myself. I question myself. I answer myself. I have deep conversations with myself. And you're probably saying, "Oh, that's why you're crazy." And well, there are people that talk to themselves much more, and they've never been diagnosed with a mental condition. And you say, "Oh, well, they're underdiagnosed then." Oh, well, that's cute, but not quite. The real issue is the fact that we have to keep on our minds the idea that concepts are real and they are valid and they are completely part of human cognition, the ability to think and understand. There's a whole array of different ideals that are out there, and the anti-concepts must go. Hate crime is a definite anti-concept. It goes against the mind. It goes against thought. It goes against reason. It denies all of that. It puts it on another level of what it means to be. That's how vicious this is. And that's how, I still, like, I wanted to end on the lives of these three people. I didn't know them. I had no connection to them. Just because they were my skin folk didn't mean they were my kinfolk. That's probably one of the best lines to ever be installed in the American vernacular. Just because somebody looks like you doesn't mean that they are you. You're your own person. You're an individual. But I have to, give my regards and my respect to the fallen people. They weren't just trying to live their American dream, just like anyone else. I'm sure they probably were, either on their way to being homeowners and had a job, maybe we're looking for a pension. None of this has been disclosed. I'm just putting, I guess, a little sauce on it, but I'm just recognizing every one of them as complete human beings and individuals who did not deserve their untimely deaths, and they should be recognized as the real American heroes that were just living their lives and not trying to be heroes, but wanted to be part of this American fabric. And once again, I think it's been a quote that either 50 Cent said, and I know I'm quoting 50 Cent, he got shot 9 times and still alive. But somebody said, if you ask me to, color the American flag, it'd be impossible for me to do it without the color red. So on that note, I wanted to thank I think I had 3 people come in. I had a like and 1 person in the chat room. So it's feast or famine, with this. I'm loving this whole experiment. It's fun. It's fun to see where it goes. So I'll leave you with this. Thank you for viewing. Make sure you share. Make sure you like. Make sure you subscribe. And I appreciate all of your support. Thank you very much. Take care.